An American-owned food company, now under Russian control, is preparing to feed the Russian army. Meanwhile, internal documents reviewed by Reuters confirming the Kremlin's plans to use the seized US firm to supply canned food to Russian defense forces. It was once a private company owned by the Los Angeles-based Leonid Smirnov company that fell into Russian hands last October. The Russian government, through its Federal Property Management Agency, now oversees all operations, making the company the only American-owned business in Russia to be nationalized since the Russia-Ukraine war. The move coming at a time when Washington and Moscow are attempting to revive diplomatic channels and seek a path to end the Russia-Ukraine war. The company's fate has become a political issue, in fact. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has said the company's seizure will be part of the broader talks aimed at rebalancing U.S.-Russia ties. Russian authorities reportedly justified the takeover as essential to maintain food production lines, especially those serving the National Guard and the Defense Ministry. The company's new management has written to Russia's Prosecutor General, laying out these military priorities. And this is not an isolated case, interestingly. The Kremlin has taken over subsidiaries of nearly a dozen European firms, including giants like Carlsberg and Fortum. And the Kremlin has warned that more seizures could follow. On to the U.S. now. Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has made another controversial claim. He has declared autism to be a rapidly growing epidemic in the U.S. while linking environmental toxins to it. Not just that, he also vowed to identify the environmental toxin that he says is causing the rising cases of autism in America. He said that autism overall is increasing at an alarming rate. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, autism has increased from 1 in 36 children in 2020 to 1 in 31 in 2022 in the U.S.
The ASD prevalence rate in 8-year-olds is now 1 in 31. Shocking. There's an extreme risk for boys. Overall, the risk for boys of getting an autism diagnosis in this country is now 1 in 20. And as high in California, which has the best data collection. So it probably also reflects the national trend, 1 in 12.5 boys. This is part of an unrelenting upward trend.
And that's not all. Speaking to reporters, he made the startling claim that autism is preventable, a statement that in a way contradicts the findings of researchers within Kennedy's own agency. He also says genes alone don't cause epidemics, while claiming that environmental toxins are to be blamed. This, of course, is not the first time that Kennedy has made claims without backing them with evidence or science. In the past, Kennedy has linked autism to vaccines, an idea that has been thoroughly refuted. Autism is a serious and a sensitive issue, after all. A developmental disability caused by differences in the brain. Even as researchers are not sure as to what causes autism, they believe that genetic and environmental factors play a significant role. In the US, about 1 in 36 children getting diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder, or ASD, on an average. As per the CDC, it is a health disorder that needs more awareness and research. It also calls for greater access to medical care and not disinformation that can do more harm than good. And we now turn our attention to the Russia-Ukraine war. Kiev is directly targeting Russian territory in what looks like a bold campaign of retaliation. Russia's defense ministry claiming it intercepted or destroyed 71 Ukrainian drones overnight. These drones targeted 6 separate Russian regions. The Kursk region bore the brunt of the attack. 49 drones were allegedly shot down there alone. Others were intercepted in Oryol, Bryansk, Vladimir, Tula. Ukrainian drones also struck the town of Shua, just east of Moscow. Shua, nearly 1,150 kilometers from the Ukrainian border, was hit for a second consecutive night. Shua houses a key Russian missile brigade. which Ukraine blames for the devastating missile strike on Sumy on Sunday that killed at least 35 people. On Telegram, Ukraine's Air Force saying that Russian troops had fired a missile at Sumy, later adding that Russian warplanes were dropping guided bombs on the city. So the attack on Shua may not just be about drones. Ukraine is perhaps sending out a message. Meanwhile, Russia continues its air campaign against Ukraine. Overnight, Russian drones struck several villages in the Sumy region, damaging homes, vehicles, infrastructure. In the Dnipro, Russia launched a deadly drone attack. And according to the region's governor, at least 3 people died in these and more than 30 people were injured. One of the strikes landed just 100 meters from the city hall. And at least 15 residential areas were struck in the city. Visuals of the aftermath of the attacks showing buildings ripped apart, streets littered with glass and rubble. Ukraine's air defense forces claiming they destroyed 25 drones and jammed 30 more during the latest Russian assault. As the bombs fall, diplomacy trudges on. High-level Ukrainian officials have arrived in Paris for urgent talks with both European and American leaders. And among those at the table is the U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Trump's special envoy Steve Witkoff, as well as the French President Emmanuel Macron. Ukraine's message is clear. It wants stronger support, more weapons, and a push for peace. But then there is growing unease in Kiev about America's shifting tone. You see, Ukraine fears Washington may be softening towards Moscow. Russia says talks on a peace settlement are ongoing, but has accused Europe of stretching the war. Listen to this.
You know, the meeting was extremely productive, but, as I said before, many people, structures, and countries are trying to disrupt our dialogue with the United States. There is very active propaganda against Russia in the United States in various mass media, so it is very important to convey the Russian position directly, and this was certainly done, and a very useful dialogue is underway.
U.S. President Donald Trump has vowed to end what he calls the bloodbath. But so far, there's no sign of progress, only more blood, more fire, and now a new level of retaliation altogether.